Hello and welcome back on the federal's election coverage for Maharashtra and Jharkhand. One of the things that has now become common in every election campaign is the issue of communal polarization. Every election, whether it's Lok Sabha, whether it is Assembly, in fact, even municipal polls, there is a concerted effort by the BJP, also some of its allies, but primarily by the BJP, to polarize the electorate on communal lines by raising very, very divisive issues, targeting Muslims, uh, and the prime minister downwards, everyone in the party gets onto that bandwagon. This election in Maharashtra, the election in Jharkhand, they were no different. We heard slogans like Batenge to Katenge. We heard a very elaborate, concerted pitch from the BJP in Jharkhand on the issue of Ghuspaitiye, infiltrators, illegal Bangladeshi migrants. The Prime Minister, the Prime Minister, while campaigning in Jharkhand, talked about much the same vein as he did during the Lok Sabha elections, where again he had talked about Ghuspaitiye taking away people's opportunities. In Jharkhand, he talked about how infiltrators will take away the daughters of tribals, will take away their jobs, will take away their land. Now that the trends are more or less clear, the results are almost clear for both the states, it's perhaps uh, also important to look at whether this communal polarization yielded any dividends to the BJP in both states. And that is where there's also an interesting kind of paradox. You see in Jharkhand, where the India alliance seems set for a wave, which of course has in the news cycle sort of taken a backseat because of the BJP wave in Maharashtra, and Maharashtra being a bigger state. Fair enough. There is more talk of how the BJP has swept across and its allies have swept across all regions of Maharashtra comfortably, uh, poised with an absolute and a stunning majority of over 220 seats. The first time ever that a coalition in Maharashtra is perhaps crossing the 200 seat mark. And so, while in Maharashtra, there have been an impact, a positive impact for the BJP, because that's where the Batenge to Katenge slogan came from. In Jharkhand, it's been completely the reverse. In Jharkhand, the entire polarizing campaign of the BJP was aimed at not just polarizing the uh, the wider Hindu bloc, but particularly to polarize the tribals. In the 2019 Lok Sabha, in the 2019 Assembly elections, it was the tribal constituency, 28 reserved seats for tribals in Jharkhand, which had overwhelmingly voted for the JMM. And that was one chunk, 28 seats out of 81. That was one chunk that the BJP wanted to break and to chip away from that, bring those, at least some of those seats into its own tally. And so this entire narrative in Jharkhand of communally polarizing the electorate was perhaps spun around. And uh, whether it was Himanta Biswa Sarma, the Assam Chief Minister, who was made in charge of Jharkhand by the BJP for the elections, or the Prime Minister, or n number of other leaders of the BJP, all of them, when they went to Jharkhand, talked about infiltration, talked about illegal Bangladeshi migrants, changing the demography of Jharkhand, and two particular regions of Jharkhand that were specifically talked about by the BJP. were the tribal dominated regions of Kolhan, and more so the tribal dominated region of the Santhal Pargana. Now, the Kolhan region was also where the JMM suffered an early setback because Champai Soren, who had stepped in as chief minister when Hemant Soren was sent to jail, had defected to the BJP, and the BJP had hoped that in Kolhan, where there are 14 assembly segments spread across the districts that form the Kolhan division, Champai Soren's presence will bring votes to the BJP. In Santhal Pargana, where in fact, that's also the region where Hemant Soren contests from. The Barhet constituency falls within the Santhal Pargana division. The Dumka constituency, where Hemant Soren's brother Basant Soren is contesting from and currently leading, also falls within the Santhal Pargana division. That was where, and that's the division that borders Bengal. So that was again an area where the BJP raised this whole issue of tribal demography change, change in population, and how they talked about how the tribals were being conned by Muslims because Muslims were marrying tribal women and getting the land there registered in their names, and so on and so forth, those kind of allegations. But how did it play out electorally? If you see the breakup, both Kolan and uh, the Santhal Pargana have overwhelmingly rejected that narrative. The trends so far, which are now steadily converting into actual results, show the JMM and the Congress and the RJD, the alliance, the India bloc, leading in 26 out of those 28 reserved assembly segments, the segments reserved for tribals across Jharkhand, out of which in the 14 assembly segments that fall in the Kolhan division, uh, the India bloc is currently leading on 11 seats. The only three seats which it's losing are the Saraikela seat, which is Champai Soren's own constituency. He is leading from there by a substantial margin and is likely to win his home seat. The Jamshedpur West and the Jamshedpur East seats. Jamshedpur West, of course, the BJP has fielded its ally, a former BJP leader, Saryu Roy, who's contesting on the JDU ticket, who's leading from there. And in Jamshedpur East, former Chief Minister Raghuvar Das's daughter-in-law, Purnima Das Sahu, who is contesting from Jamshedpur East, is leading. Now, Jamshedpur, of course, both of these are not tribal seats. They're both more urban constituencies compared to the tribal dominated areas of Jharkhand, and they have traditionally been BJP strongholds. So these two seats aren't surprising. Saraikela, Champai Soren basically retaining his seat, but then Champai Soren's brother, who was Champai Soren's son, Babulal Soren, who's contesting from the Ghatsila constituency, is currently trailing by a huge margin. So uh, you see the Kolhan region rejecting this whole communal rhetoric, and a similar trend continuing in the Santhal Parganas, where out of the 18 assembly segments that fall under the Santhal Pargana division, the India bloc is currently leading in 16 assembly segments. Only two assembly segments in the Santhal Pargana are where the BJP is currently leading: the Jarmundi constituency and the Rajmahal constituency. Now, in Maharashtra, this whole thing has panned out differently. But then Maharashtra, of course, a bigger factor perhaps has also been the populist measures that were rolled out by Eknath Shinde in the final lap of his current term as chief minister. But one cannot discount the fact that communal polarization there has worked in the BJP's favor, but there's also an interesting aside to it. When the Batenge Katenge slogan was raised by the BJP, there was which in hindsight perhaps looks like a very beguiling, a very sort of manipulative and misleading kind of way of taking attention away from that, which was adopted by the BJP's ally, Mr. Ajit Pawar's NCP, who immediately came, uh, you know, in public to dissociate himself from that slogan and said that these things don't work in Maharashtra. It's a very peaceful state. We don't do communal politics here. It's a different matter that the RSS, the BJP's ideological parent, is headquartered in Maharashtra. And the Shiv Sena, originally founded on the issue of Maratha pride, and but also Hindutva, also is a Maharashtra party. But Mr. Ajit Pawar, considering his NCP background, the United NCP background of from the time of Sharad Pawar, and the fact that many of the constituencies that he was eyeing have a substantial Muslim vote bank, immediately dissociated himself from that Batenge Katenge slogan, and that perhaps to those voters who were maybe rattled by the Batenge Katenge slogan, but at the same time were more like fence sitters who weren't convinced perhaps with the India Alliance's campaign, but what was holding them back perhaps from going all out to support the BJP could have been communal polarization. Maybe they could have reacted to Ajit Pawar's statement in a way that made them feel that, okay, there is a check and balance. So this check and balance will prevent the BJP from going all hog on communal polarization in Maharashtra. And then, of course, the Prime Minister changed that Batenge Katenge slogan to Ek Hain to Safe Hain, which again was largely meant for the Hindu constituency and alluded to Hindu unity, but it wasn't as rabid as Batenge Katenge, which Yogi Adityanath, the UP chief minister, had given. So, uh, so perhaps there has been a favorable impact of communal polarization for the BJP in Maharashtra, but there has also been, which cannot be denied, this confusion created or this kind of beguilement by Ajit Pawar's statement, which allowed people who may have been offended by that communal rhetoric to give the Mahayuti a chance again and vote for them. So, uh, but bottom line, Jharkhand, where there was a very prolonged and a very rabid communal polarization pitch by the BJP, that pitch has been completely rejected by the people of Jharkhand, by the tribals of Jharkhand, and that is something to take heart from for those who believe in the syncretic traditions of India and in communal bonhomie. So that's the latest update right now from these results. We'll of course keep bringing you more. So do stay tuned to the Federal.